So you get CPI pretty cool this morning. Good report. Best report we've seen in a long time. Everybody gets a little excited. And then the Fed Board of Governors, Powell and his gang, because they have the meeting today and he speaks today, which is rare to get both happen on the same day, CPI reading in the morning and then Fed in the afternoon. They come out with the dot plot, which is basically the forecast of economic projections on where they think the rates will end up being. Meaning it's going to tell you how many times they think they're going to cut to get to wherever they think the rates are at the end of the year. Now, obviously, inflation has clearly been falling. Everybody who looks at this, again, and when I say these things, I understand that the American people are not feeling that this is happening. But the pure numbers of things, when you look at the reports, show that disinflation is now into these numbers. Couple stragglers like owner's equivalent rent. There's a couple stragglers in there that have kept their readings high. But people like Tom Lee at Fundstrat and others have been saying disinflation is there, and you're going to start to see this roll over quicker than we think. In the Fed, if the Fed is too late to cut rates, they're going to break something. So the dot plot comes out today around 2 o'clock. They leave rates unchanged, which was really no surprise to anybody because they were never going to cut. They're never going to raise again. They're certainly not going to cut right now. That was not a surprise. But what was a surprise was the dot plot, given the CPI that we saw today and the readings that we saw today and the numbers that came out today. Well, they have almost no cuts for the rest of the year. They have the end of the year rate. It's still at post 5, higher than 5. I think it was 5.1. Right now, we're at like 5.25 to 5.5 or whatever we're at. So they're factoring in maybe one cut for this year, which seems absolutely idiotic. To go 6 more months with no cuts to interest rates, given the numbers we saw this morning. So now, if you want to make the argument that we need to see maybe one more reading, like what we saw today, which was a welcome surprise, I could maybe buy that. But the idea that Powell gets out there today, when the American people are suffering tremendously from these high interest rates, everywhere they go in every part of their lives, that they come out with this dot plot saying, no, we're going to leave it where it is for the remainder of the year pretty much, seems absolutely like insanity to me. And he was not directly asked, which I was hoping he would be, were these dot plots made before you got the numbers this morning? Because if they were, then that would explain it. And will they have a chance to revise that given the numbers? But nobody, of course, at the stupid meeting would have asked him that. But the CPI this morning was very good. And it's a good sign that hopefully disinflation is not only here, but will continue to get CPI down to 2%. Now we'll get PPI tomorrow, and we'll see if that's a miss to either side, high or low, or if it's in line. But the CPI this morning was a good number, and there's some things in there that took a real big fall. Auto insurance, huge fall, and I could tell you for one, I'm not seeing that in my own personal auto insurance. I'll tell you that for sure. But nonetheless, that number fell. Owner's equivalent rent still lagging. But a lot of stuff has come back down. So it was a good number. But I just think the dot plot that they're talking about leaving interest rates like where they are to the end of the year is just total BS insanity. That they think that we need to be higher than 5 come the end of 2024 seems crazy to me. Absolutely crazy. So,
well, that's something I came across in an article I read this morning, that they weren't, like you said, no rate cuts till at least December. So,
well, that's exactly what the
6 months.
The projection of economic projections showed on what they call the dot plot, which is just insanity. If they get another report like this, where you get Supercore and Core and all these coming in at basically 0 year over year, now I think is at 3.3. You can't leave rates at 5.25. You just can't. You're just asking to break everything from the banking system to everything else, which already has issues with commercial real estate loans and everything else. New debt that's coming up that's going to have to be refinanced at these higher rates. I mean, it's just he's asking for just a disaster.